right, well, the fight wrapped up, Canelo and Bivol. We got a shocking outcome. Bivol gets a unanimous decision, 7 rounds to 5, beats Canelo Alvarez. Now the only other fighter outside of Floyd Mayweather to hold a victory over Canelo Alvarez. Many people are kind of pissed at the scorecards. Listen, I saw what I saw, which was that Bivol was arguably stylistically superior to Canelo. I can't say that Bivol was more impressive overall than Canelo just because he wasn't really doing much. He wasn't really doing anything to cause significant amounts of damage. He was landing, but it wasn't like significant power shots. Canelo was landing significant power shots. That's going to sway the judges just because of aggression consideration. However, Bivol was stylistically more brilliant than Canelo. I saw people on NSB, they said, well, Canelo's same flat footer as the same Mayweather. He's not. He's significantly improved from Floyd. What you saw here, it felt like Canelo wasn't prepared for this fight. It seemed like he's always had stamina issues. That's not unusual. But it seemed like he didn't ever get out of first gear. It struck me as something was off. I don't know what that was, whether that was training or just the weight. Because we remember Roy Jones, when he kept going up and down, and it killed him eventually. Maybe that's what that was, because Canelo, of course, he was campaigning at 154 and actually at 147 when he debuted. 147 goes to 154, goes to 160, 168, 175, goes back down to 168. He might have even taken a 160 fight somewhere in there. And then back up to 175 again. It's possible that whole weight shift might be getting to him because it just seemed to me like he was not all there. Something was not quite right. There was not the same pop you expected from his punches. He was throwing them with bad intentions, but we didn't see what we expected to see from him. And the reason I don't buy the argument that he's the same as with Floyd, like if you saw what Canelo Saunders went, Saunders is arguably just as stylistically quick as Bivol was doing, but Canelo was able to catch him and hit him and land. So there was, again, it felt like something was off. I will give credit to Bivol for his defense. He had very solid defense. It seemed like he was better able to, it's almost like Ugas in that he was able to defend, but then quickly go back on the offensive after he would defend shots. Where Bivol seemed weak was when Canelo was in close. And Canelo didn't seem to capitalize on it. It seemed like he couldn't find an opening. I saw him a couple of times try to throw the uppercut. That's his signature. He wasn't able to get through the guard with it. He wasn't able to cleanly hit the body. Like, it wasn't that Canelo wasn't hitting. He wasn't able to cleanly connect like he normally would have done. Whether that's, again, a symptom of him or a symptom of Bivol, it doesn't matter. From my eyes, I think 7-5 is fine. The stream I had, which was Mexican, they had it 8-4. I think that's fine. I didn't see a Canelo win, and of course it was unanimous, so it wasn't like a sketchy judge decision. People are going to complain about 7-5. I think 7-5 is fair if you gauge off of who's the aggressor, number one, because Canelo was the aggressor the majority of the fight. If you gauge off harder punches, Canelo arguably landed the harder punches, even though Bivol was clearly more busy. I think his activity is what set it over. Question is why that happened. It just seemed weird. I just saw that Canelo didn't seem himself in there. And maybe it was something Bivol was doing that just threw him off. Maybe that's what it is. Some people thought Canelo looked frustrated. I saw that at points. I did see that. I saw something else too with physical. Seemed physical wasn't there all the way there. Stamina we knew was a problem. So regardless, Bivol, second only person to ever beat Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's still young. And 175 is not his weight. I said before the fight, this was still a risk because of the size difference. It's a weight he's not campaigned at. But I didn't suspect a knockout. I suspected that it would go the distance. I figured Canelo would be able to decision him just based on skill. And I think Canelo did a good enough job. It just, for whatever reason, didn't work out. So anyway, kudos to Bivol for making history. He made history, beat a future Hall of Famer, arguably. No matter what you say, he beat a future Hall of Famer. Yes, Canelo was undersized. We can't use that as an excuse because Canelo's the one that chose that. He chose that, so it's legit. There's no asterisk on that one. And we got to see what happens next because Canelo's supposed to fight Golovkin after this. I didn't see Canelo get hurt against Bivol, so I'm not worried about Golovkin being able to hurt him. And that would take place, I'm pretty sure it's at 168. So that would be at a weight that Canelo's comfortable is. If Canelo still fights Golovkin, I'm assuming that fight's contractual and it's signed, sealed, delivered. If Canelo fights Golovkin and he's able to still deal with Golovkin, we'll know that this was just either something with Bivol or something with the weight. Could only be. If Golovkin is able to take out Canelo too, then it could be that something's off with the weight, like it started messing with him where he's not, his strength's jacked. Because Canelo's always been about strength. It's always been about his power. And the Saunders fight took place before this most recent go up at 175. So again, there's all sorts of possibilities as to why we saw what we saw. At the end of the day, I wasn't, again, surprised. I figured it would go the distance. It doesn't surprise me Bivol's able to do that because, again, I acknowledge he's skilled. I figured, though, that just from my eyes, Canelo should be able to outbox him. And he tried. He just didn't get it done. Dmitry Bivol beats Canelo Alvarez. Retains his title at 175. Canelo is now scheduled to go back down to 168. Fight Golovkin next. And that's the rubber match. And we'll have to see where that goes. Or if Canelo calls that fight off for whatever reason. We'll have to see where it happens here. I don't think Canelo has to hang his head low. He's daring to be great. He took the risk. He took the chance. He's daring to be great. And that's what you're supposed to do. We will need to see where Bivol goes from here. People want to see Bivol and Beterbiev. That's a pretty good fight. We have to test Bivol. We have to see if it was legitimately him or if it was Canelo in there. From what I know of Beterbiev, I do know that Beterbiev is a much more dangerous fighter than Canelo by far in terms of just power. He's the one that took Vosdick out. So that would be a good fight to see. However, Bivol's activity could cause some problems. So that'll be a good fight to watch next.